This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the Microsoft Band 2. Now, it's been on the market a couple of months, but the good news is there have been several software updates, so it has improved over time. And the price is dropping. $250 is still the official list price, but now you'll commonly find it for $175, putting it more in line with the competition, like the Samsung Gear Fit 2 we just reviewed. One of the reasons I figured we should also cover the Band 2 for comparison's sake. And of course, there are more expensive options that are also smartwatches, like the Apple Watch. Anyway, a lot of sensors on board, some things to like, some things that really irk me about this fitness band that's a smartwatch sorta kinda wannabe also. We're gonna look at it now. So the Band 2 is a pretty heavy and chunky fitness band, but it's significantly improved over the original Microsoft Band. We have the curve here for the AMOLED display now, and that's clad in Gorilla Glass 3 now instead of plastic, so it's pretty scratch resistant. We still have a very chunky clasp mechanism, and if you wear it with the display on the inside, which is my preference, then people get to look at this ugly clasp all the time. While we're talking about the clasp, though, it's a pretty easy to operate design. You just put it on. You don't have to find the sweet spot right away. These little ears right here lock in, and it's a slider, so you can just kind of push on it and then tighten it up if you want, or you can just hold the ears and slide back if you decide you want to loosen it up a little bit. So that part's well done, but you can see how much thickness there is here. That's because we have the battery in here, and the charger actually connects to this section right here. There's also a UV sensor on this side, and there's one on the front face too, because this has a UV sensor. This has every sensor you can think of that is currently available for a wearable device. It still clamps. You can see there's a certain rigidity to the shape of it where it holds the shape. So it's going to be pretty tight in this way, but I do have extra room over here, even when I'm wearing it pretty tight. And that means it's not so comfortable, especially if you're a bony-wristed athletic type like I am. So I haven't really loved the feel of wearing it. And that's a shame because there's pretty good sleep metrics too. One of the things it can do is you can tell, hey, I'm going to bed now, or it can figure it out for itself too, but I've been telling it when I go to bed, and it measures your light sleep, your deep sleep, how many times you wake up, and your heart rate throughout the night. So it does a pretty good job. Now, it's not unique in doing that. Now, the Samsung Gear Fit 2 we recently reviewed also has a sleep monitor. It also tells you your sleep efficiency and your heart rate while you're sleeping. Typical of these devices, we've got optical sensors here for your heart rate. This also has a skin temperature sensor, galvanic sensor, a GPS too, and of course the heart rate monitor is probably the most important for you fitness folks out there, but that's a lot of sensors. Now, there's no reports that actually give you information on your skin temperature, for example, so you're just going to get things like your heart rate metric, how many floors you've climbed using the barometric sensor, which is currently the way they do that. Believe it or not, subtle changes in humidity are sufficient for it to tell whether you've climbed a flight of stairs or not, and how many calories it thinks you've burned. And it's water resistant, IP67, and you can rinse off the band certainly carefully. Try not to immerse this. You can sweat on it. If you're washing the dishes, it's okay. You cannot swim with this. Not a good idea. If you shower with it, it will throw off the barometer for about a day. So suddenly the barometer is going to think that you've climbed many stairs, which you actually haven't. Now, to charge it, this is the charging connector over here. Another reason why this clasp is pretty bulky, and this is what you get in the box. You don't actually get a charger that you plug in the wall. So you're going to use a smartphone charger to plug it in, standard 5-volt USB charger. And this is magnetic, and it's pretty easy to clamp it on here. As you can see, these little pogo pins align with these pogo pins, and you do it like so. And the magnet's so strong, it'll actually pull it on in the wrong position at first, but then you get it. That works. Battery life's not good on this, folks. Battery life, even though this is more of a fitness band than it is a smartwatch, battery life's more like a smartwatch, and not a very good one at that. It's about 2 days, even if you're not using the GPS. Thankfully, it can charge up in 30 to 40 minutes completely if the thing is completely empty. I was kind of shocked. It did actually run out of battery on me a couple of times, and it told me low power, set time and date. I felt like I was back in the world of DOS. And Microsoft's UI decisions on this, now granted, it's a fitness band with some smart features, and fitness bands don't always have the best UIs, but still, this, which looks just like your home screen right here, if you raise your wrist up, you won't see this. You're going to see just that screen right there. You can set the screen to always be on if you want, and it will use more power. So to actually use the watch, besides raising it up, you have to hit the button right there. Then you're ready to interact. You would think this is the home screen, wouldn't you? Oh no, this is actually what's called the Me tile. Doesn't that look like you? No, not so much. So you tap on that, and there you get the core metrics. Step counter, how many miles you've traveled, how many calories you've burned, how many floors you've climbed. And there's a little back button over there. So, that basic feature that on something like, let's just break out the Gear 2 so you can see it. That's so self-evident here. Here's a Gear 2 home screen. You just swipe and you see that information. There's no tapping. There's no finding out where stuff might be hidden. So not the best UI moment right there. So there are all sorts of little UI niggles that really just bother me about this. Now, granted, though, I'm a fitness nut. I do use smartwatches more often than I use fitness bands, but I've had no problem getting along with the Gear Fit 2, which, granted, is running Tizen, which is a smartwatch EOS. If you get notifications coming in, it will vibrate. It doesn't have a speaker. If you pull your wrist up right away, you can look at the notification. Otherwise, it's gone, and there's no little star, asterisk, red dot, anything like that to tell you. So you're going to have to swipe along through your various apps over here until you get to notifications. Now, we have some individual applets. There's Facebook Messenger, and there's Twitter over here. I've added the AP News, and we keep scrolling along. I've added the stock one, and there's a various fitness ones. So here's where your notifications are right there. So as a smartwatch, I wouldn't depend on that so much. Settings are obviously at the end. Here's the little settings gear, and you've got things like no more vibrate over here. You can set whether the watch face is always on. We've got low power mode, airplane mode, Bluetooth control. And why is there a settings gear inside of the settings gear? Right? Only Microsoft could do that, because there were some extra settings. I was wondering, how do I control the brightness? Well, there you go. It's hidden under the settings, inside of settings. How strong you want the haptic feedback to be. Medium is a little on the soft side. I do notice it, but, so you can choose your English language right there, and you can choose your Asian font. Reading speed. So if you have a message come in and you happen to lift your wrist up in time to see it, if you hit the button over here, the action button, it will scroll through the message one word at a time pretty quickly. And let me tell you, medium is pretty quick. You've got to be a fast reader. The rest of these apps over here, well, like I said, we got AP News, we have our Twitter. It will show you your text messages right here, call information. We've got an alarm on there. That's the sleep one right there. So if you're using Android or iOS, you can view your messages, you cannot respond. If you're using Windows Phone, you get more features. This actually has a microphone, and you can use Cortana with it. So you have some capabilities to interact, therefore, with your phone that are a little bit more advanced. You can't control how quickly the screen turns off, by the way, and it's in a hurry to turn off. And given the battery life being not so great, well, I can understand that. There are quite a few fitness types in here. We have our biking, which covers indoor and outdoor biking, weightlifting, and there are subcategories. Rowing actually goes in that too. We've got outdoor climbing, we have running, you've got a lot of things. You've even got golf on this. And I'm not a golfer, so I can't attest to the features. Some folks who are golfers have complained about some features not being all that great, but it does give you the ability to download golf course maps and give you an idea of how far you are from the hole, that sort of thing. Which is pretty neat, and it does have a lot of golf courses there. I don't think so much you're tracking your exercise there, but you can use it as a scorecard and little features like that. Now, say you want to start a new bike ride, so I've just select the bike icon, so you can hit go, and you can select whether the GPS is on or off. If you're going to be using this on a stationary bike, obviously you want to have the GPS off. Turn it on for an outdoor bike ride, and using the web dashboard, you can actually see your route after the fact. So that's pretty nicely done. And once you are exercising, it gives you exercise duration and shows you your heart rate. And one nice thing it does, it shows you your heart rate in blue if you're in anything up to the moderate exercise zone. If you're starting to push it pretty hard, it goes orange. And if you're hitting maximum recommended for your age, then it will go to red. So you've got a color indicator there. Now, once you begin exercising, this is the screen that you see. So you've got your duration right there, and clearly no change in elevation, and I'm actually not exercising. And the heart rate monitor, well, that might be getting close to accurate right now. It was pretty off at the beginning. In general, it's reasonably accurate as optical heart rate monitors go. It's not going to be a substitute for a chest-mounted monitor, but it's pretty good. Just like every other fitness and smartwatch I try, it really seems to lose it when I'm using the rowing machine. Now, it thought it was locked on, and it was sure I was at a heart rate of 147 for 20 minutes pegged. I was not. Typically, my heart rate is at about 118 when I use the rowing machine. Also, if you're doing weightlifting, boxing, those kind of any activity that has a lot of movement, that tends to throw off optical heart rate monitors, and it's not terribly accurate. It's great for biking. It's great for running. It's good for hiking. It works pretty well if you're being sedentary too. The UI on the app is available for Android and iOS. Obviously, we're using the iOS version at the moment. They're pretty much identical. It is reasonably intuitive here, and here's your information at a glance about your activities, your calories, and so on. You've got a hamburger menu right there. Anything you tap on, you can see a little bit more information. You tap on it again to make it go away, which I didn't find immediately apparent, but figured it out quickly enough. And you get more granular information if you tap on something. Let's see what your calorie burn, your exercise activity was. Now, something that you can't do for the Apple Watch or for the Samsung Gear Fit 2 is download workouts. That's pretty neat. I have my workout routine pretty much set the way I want it, but I know some people are always looking for some new stuff to try, especially if you're in your beginning stages trying to get fit. So there's all sorts of things you can do. Biking, running, weightlifting, all that sort of stuff. So that's a really pretty nice trick, and you can load that right onto the band itself. So you don't need to have your phone, which is something you would have to do with the Gear Fit 2 or your Apple Watch. So that's Microsoft Band 2. Again, typically it's $175 now, so you don't have to pay $250 anymore for it. And it's still a hunky-chunky kind of fitness band, though it is a lot more ergonomic than the first generation. Still, something like the Gear Fit S2 is a lot lighter. Granted, you don't get that brushed aluminum side on it, but it's lighter and more comfortable. And Apple Watches, Android smartwatches, well, they're much better at being smartwatches, but the Band 2's claim to fame is all the sensors and the fitness features, and it does a fairly good job of tracking all sorts of fitness stuff. A good deal of information on the mobile app. Everything that you want is available on the web interface. How you feel about actually going to a web page these days to actually get all the information instead of just using your watch, well, that's up to you. To me, that seems a little painfully retro. On the upside, it does work with Android and iOS, and of course Microsoft Phone too. So a cross-platform solution that has some smartwatch features plus a lot of fitness features. That's not super duper common, and that speaks in favor of it versus something like the Apple Watch was only for iOS, obviously. Samsung's Gear products, they're still Android only, and some people say they do best still with Samsung phones of all things. So there you have it. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to visit our website for the full written review and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos.